I'm here in the beautiful fenced green pastures of Sugg Farm Park in Holly Springs. It's quiet now, but on September 27th, this place will be rocking with one of the Triangle's largest beer festivals, Beericana. More than 40 brewers will be here to provide us with great samples of amazing craft beer. Props? Sorry. You don't want to miss it. Get your tickets now. Hi, I'm Glenn. Dave's behind the camera. Welcome to another episode of NCBeerBuzz. We're on the Appalachian State University campus in beautiful Boone, and we're in the what's the program called?
Fermentation Sciences.
Fermentation Sciences Program, one of the few academic brewing operations and learning centers in North Carolina. And we're here with Rusty. Last name?
Rusty Kuhfeld.
And what do you do? What's your title?
So I manage the pilot plant here and manage the service lab as well, which offers analysis for wineries and breweries.
Okay. And Brett Taubman, who's, for lack of a better explanation, he can explain, the chairman of the department, or...
No, I'm not. I'm an associate professor in chemistry,
okay.
And I head up the brewing sciences portion of fermentation sciences. But fermentation sciences covers more than just brewing.
Well, tell us, what is the program?
Also, it also includes winemaking, distillation, but beyond that, fermentation sciences covers pharmaceuticals, alternative fuels, bioremediation, biofuels, so a number of things. I mean, we kind of view the sort of brewing and winemaking as a carrot to draw students in.
Right.
But once they're in the program, then we've got them.
Right.
And we fool them into learning chemistry, biology, and everything else that goes into fermentation.
And how large is the program each year?
Well, this will be our third year in operation as a fully approved program in the state,
and we're in the Broyhill Center on campus.
Correct.
The Broyhill Center is a center of what for other purposes? Is it like a business school?
It used to be an conference center.
Okay.
Now it pretty much houses us down in the bottom floor of the building, and the rest of the space is just used as temporary offices for people right now until they decide what to do with the building.
Okay. So the program is 3 years old?
So this is the beginning of the third year, and we have probably about 100 majors at this point. And that's the fermentation sciences majors. And then in chemistry, there's also a fermentation science concentration.
So they come over and take classes out of your program.
Correct.
They're majoring somewhere else.
Right, they get a BS in chemistry with a fermentation concentration.
And they picked up practices from your side along the way, but they're not concentrating on your side.
Right, you got it.
Okay.
And there's probably a couple dozen students in the chemistry program as well. So we have quite a number of students at this point.
And it's a 4-year degree, of course.
4-year degree.
And most of the guys and ladies wind up doing what after?
Well, it's hard to say yet because we're just starting to graduate our first students.
Okay.
A lot of the early students have gone into the production side. Some have gone into the quality assurance side too, doing lab work.
Because you teach them the production and you teach them also the science of it.
Correct.
Do you also do the marketing and the business side? Or
there is some to that. Obviously, we don't teach that too much,
but
they
part
are
of the
required. Right. In the program, they are required to take, I think, 12 credits, 9 or 12 credits. I'm not sure. That would be a question for Seth. He's the director of the program. They have to take several courses in business, entrepreneurship, accounting, marketing. And it's pretty easy for them to then go and get a minor in business after that.
And the kids that come in now, a college freshman is like 18 years old. Mm-hmm. They're okay to take the coursework?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And one of the first courses they take is the social implications of fermentation sciences. So, obviously there are legal issues, there are moral issues, ethical, the whole gambit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the first courses that they take. And then any of the production courses or sensory courses are not until their last year.
They have to be 21 to do that.
They have to be 21 to do
and
that.
They can't sample what they brew
Correct.
until they're of age.
Correct.
So those issues are covered.
They're more than welcome to work in the lab and do other research, but yeah, no production, no sampling until they're 21.
There's a handful of students as well who are coming back for their second major where they're already graduated and realize that their first major is not what they're interested in, and this is what they're interested in.
And with the boom of the craft beer market in North Carolina particularly, and around the Southeast, this is an excellent something to add to your resume if you haven't gotten a job, for instance. and this is very marketable. It's got to be very marketable.
It is, and you know, the students that have graduated so far from the program have had no problem finding jobs in the industry, and most actually have gone onto the production side so far. But really what they're trained for is more the laboratory side, the analytical side.
Okay.
Either going into food science or, you know, the wine and beer industries doing the QA labs, or going on to grad school, you know, either in food science or, you know, new fermentation programs, grad programs that are opening up, chemistry programs, so they're qualified to do any of those things.
So obviously our viewers are most interested in the beer production. You do produce and make beer here as part of the learning process.
Correct.
We knew for years about the Ivory Tower Brewery.
Right.
Can we explain for our viewers, that's evolved a little bit in recent times.
Sure.
The difference in, we used to think of the Ivory Tower Brewery as the brewery at Appalachian State University.
Right.
Which kind of encompassed the educational academic portion. There's a little separation now.
There is separation. You know, at the university, like you say, you know, we have this 3-barrel brew house here, and we teach the production side as well as the analytical side. But all of this is done for research and educational purposes. To overcome that hurdle, that legal hurdle, to be able to produce and bring in revenue for the program or for other purposes, we set up a private nonprofit, a 501c3, which is Ivory Tower Incorporated.
Okay.
Ivory Tower Brewery is the label that Ivory Tower Inc. produces. And we do that in collaboration right now with Howard Brewing Company down in Lenoir for the beer side. And then for wine and cider, we do that with Grandfather Vineyard and Winery, you know, just up the road a bit.
So when I go into a bottle shop and see collaborative beer like the Bee Student that you've made with Old Hickory, I think.
Right.
And that is produced on the Old Hickory system, commercial system. It is branded as a collaboration. In what sense are you guys involved in that beer? Is your recipe?
With Bee Student, that is our recipe that we developed, and we go down with the course with the brewing science and analysis students and brew that beer.
So they
with
learn
the
on a
folks.
big system.
Correct. That's the 30-barrel system there, right? So they get training on different systems, which is part of the reason for the collaborations.
And you've done a collaboration with Howard.
We've done a
out of
couple.
Lenore.
Right, a couple collaborations with Howard, and that's more of a regular collaboration where we'll go down there. We've done the all-nighter so far, which is our oatmeal coffee stout.
Mm-hmm.
We've done the sumac cum laude, which is a sumac-infused Belgian-style saison.
Okay.
And the next beer that we're going to do is the bitter faculty. And that's an English standard bitter.
Okay.
And so hopefully
With
we'll be doing
Howard.
that with
With
Howard.
Howard.
So in that case, we go down, they have a 15-barrel system down there. We actually have a 15-barrel fermenter that we put down at their brewery that we fill, so we brew on their system.
Without taking over their space, their production space.
Correct, yeah. So we go down, brew on their system, and if students volunteer to come, but we can't force them to come or make it part of the class because it's through Ivory Tower, right? So
And
it's
when we
private
find beer out in local bottle shops, that beer is distributed by the brewery, by Howard,
right.
or Old Hickory, or
Right, so we brew on their system and then we package and distribute under their
But it
license.
does give you some brand recognition and some visibility in the marketplace, I guess,
Right.
for lack of a better word.
Right, exactly. It brings, you know, recognition to the program and what Ivory Tower stands for, which, you know, Ivory Tower we set up, I mean, not just to do these collaborations. I mean, it's a great opportunity for students to volunteer and get more hands-on experience, but really what we set up Ivory Tower for is to support and enhance research and education in fermentation sciences. So we use that as a private nonprofit that raises revenues through a variety of means. You know, annual fundraising events, through these collaborations, through industry donations, and then that money then gets funneled to Fermentation Sciences, whether it's our program here or through small research grants that we can provide to students anywhere in the country.
Okay. Now, the High Country Beer Festival traditionally has been held on these premises. I know it's
Right.
moved this year. What is your involvement with that festival?
I mean, I guess I'm the sort of the person who came up with it initially, and still maintain that lead organizational role. Rusty's on the board, and then we have about 15 board members that put together
Local beer people type.
local beer people.
Chris and Peabody's maybe.
So it's a mix of faculty, alumni, and community members, and we all, put together to put on the festival. So, and we are moving off campus this year to the High Country Fairgrounds, which is going to give us more space and more breweries and be a better
And more
festival.
attendees.
Yeah,
And no rain this year.
Let's hope not. You can never be too short.
Of course not. So we've seen recently watching the legislature issues, there's been an issue about the bill, the legislation. Prior to this time, after somebody finally figured out you couldn't do what I think you've been doing before, thinking you could do it, ABC had to change their mind with you.
Right.
Previously, for our viewers, programs like this thought they could be permitted to sell the product they produced, at least on their own premises.
Correct.
If not distribution. At some point along the way, ABC decided that was not allowable, I think, and either withdrew or canceled, I'm not sure what the right word is, some permitting, so that the brewers in these situations were left in academic settings with no outlet for their product. Is that fair?
That's correct.
And there was legislation introduced this session, actually last session is moved to this session, and as of today, it has been ratified and presented to the governor for his signature, which will allow these guys and people at NC State and Rockingham Community College and other academic fermentation programs to sell on their premises what they produce to be permitted by ABC.
Right.
Is that fair enough?
yeah. So I mean, that would of course.
What's that going to mean?
Well, of course it's going to bring in revenue, but the more exciting thing is it'll allow us to use our system more, train students more, and
Because otherwise you would make the beer to pour out in some cases, or to...
I mean, it definitely limits our ability to use our small commercial equipment because it's just what do we do with that big of a tank of beer.
Right.
So, it's great in the revenue sense, but also it's just nice to be able to have that freedom to really, produce. And then that's just going to open up the avenue to bring more activity in for students to gain experience, doing all the brewery and cellar work. So.
And before we close, what is the system here we're standing in front of, if you want to describe it or somebody describe it?
So, this is our 3-barrel system. We've cobbled it together from a number of different companies. And, we did that for a number of reasons, whether it was budgetary constraints, we tend to get chunks of funding at a time. And so we are able to purchase the equipment that we can at the time. We've got 3-barrel hot side and the cold side. These are 3-barrel fermenters back here, a couple 1-barrel fermenters and a couple half-barrel fermenters, which gives us a lot of flexibility. And 3 barrels was about as small as we figured we could go to give the students the experience on a professional type system.
More than just a home brew experience.
Correct. But, as Rusty was saying, if you're not allowed to do anything with the product that you're producing other than for research and education, you really are limited as to how much you can produce, because then what do you do with all of that product? This system, and it's really a pretty slick system.
And before we move on, this panel behind us this is the control panel?
This is our touch screen, which this controls the entire hot side here.
Is this standard software?
Well, it's built with LabVIEW software, which is standard software, but then a student, an engineering physics grad student, did all of the programming. He actually designed and installed the entire control system as well as did the programming on both the hot side and the cold side. So it's pretty slick. We can operate everything manually, and we actually went with the immersion heaters because it would allow us for more control. And that was something that I didn't have experience with before, so that was an interesting.
How do you get to be who you are? What was your background? How did you come to be this?
So, I mean, I have a PhD in analytical chemistry.
A home brewer and had a brewing interest?
I've been brewing for, over 10 years, and yeah, I've been working toward this for a number of years, and started with some brewing courses at the university. And then when Seth Cohen, the director of the program, came in, we actually completely revamped the Fermentation Sciences Program to make it what it is today.
And it is an accredited program?
Well, I mean, there is no accreditation for Fermentation Sciences.
Who would accredit it?
But it's an approved program through the state. So yeah, you can earn a Bachelor of Science in Fermentation Sciences through our program.
That's amazing.
But it is something that the MBAA, the Master Brewers Association of the Americas, has been talking about with all of the new programs that are starting to come online for fermentation sciences. I mean, we were the first standalone fermentation sciences program in the country. Now there are more that are starting to come online, a lot of universities that are thinking about it at this point. And so
community colleges.
And community colleges, absolutely.
For a 2-year kind of a program.
Right, and we actually have, with 2 or 3 of them now, we have 2+2 programs set up.
So if I did my 2 years at Rockingham Community College,
get an Associate of Science degree there.
Transfer in here.
Can transfer in here, hit the ground running, 2 more years, and you're done.
I would have some core stuff out of the way before I came here, and some of the practical experience, because they do some practical hands-on.
Absolutely, yep.
Great.
But the MBAA now is looking into some type of accreditation program, because there's not that many PhDs out there that are qualified in fermentation sciences to teach these courses. So just because, a university says, hey, we're going to start this program.
You got to have somebody execute it.
Right, exactly.
All those grand plans got to be doable.
So I think in the next several years we'll see some type of accreditation program. And hopefully we'll be a leader in that too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having us in today.
My pleasure. Thanks for
Rusty's
joining
great.
us.
See, Rusty's got a impinged arm here. We won't shake his right hand. And for another episode of NC Beer Buzz, this is the NC Beer Guys, and we're at Appalachian State University with the Fermentation Sciences Program. And remember, until next time, drink local and keep your beer dollars in North Carolina.